Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host, and today my special guest is Brandon Gano, which I thought was Gano, which in Spanish means to win. He is owner of WhadIf and works with his clients to design and build systems that streamline their operations to consistently deliver a steady stream of new leads and clients. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me here. And yes, I've already submitted the paperwork. I'm changing my name with the government. It's a done deal. Thank you for that gift that you shared with me before we started recording.
So what was that turning point in your life that led you to where you are today?
So I actually, before this company, before WhadIf, I had started another company that I grew to hate. And it was because it wasn't serving my bigger mission. I had gotten into business in the first place because of two main reasons. The first was I love business. I think it is the coolest thing in the world that you can go sell something and help somebody with a problem or solve a problem that they're having. You could provide a solution, whatever the industry is. It could be consulting or selling t-shirts like that business was in. And when I started to figure out, I didn't have to operate this business. I could own the business and still have the impact and actually have a bigger impact by owning it and not operating it. I wanted to give that to other people. So that's what drove me. My mission was to help other people become business owners, not business operators. I pursued a path in that industry to turn that company into a franchise. And that's when I started to hate the company because the industry wasn't my favorite necessarily. And that path was going to be a lot more narrow than I really wanted it to be because it was only helping people who wanted to sell t-shirts become business owners. I want to help everybody become business owners. So that's why I kind of transitioned to this industry, sold that company. Now we're here. And with my business partner, that's what we do. We help small business owners have the clarity they need and to make confident decisions to grow their businesses and become business owners, which is what we all start out to do in the first place. But a lot of people get tied up in the operator role, which we try to prevent.
So the company that you had started and built and ultimately sold was in the custom merch industry. Turn that into a franchise. What was that unique value proposition? I'm just intrigued about the business model.
It's really easy, as a matter of fact. So, and it's not just that industry, but if you've ever dealt with service-based industry or service-based business in really any of the trades, they're local businesses. They usually only serve a local geographic market. And I'm talking t-shirt businesses like I had, merch business, plumbers, electricians, HVAC companies. These are notorious industries for having terrible customer service. So I was a customer of one of these businesses before I started my business. And I was like, why is it so hard to order a t-shirt? Like, it should not be this complicated. We're talking about t-shirts, ink on fabric. This can't be this complicated, right? So my naive self thought, well, if they can't do it, I'll do a better job. So I was like, all right, let's start this company and see really how hard and complicated this is. Turns out it wasn't. It wasn't complicated at all. But where people lost focus was they focused on the art of producing the product or delivering the service, which is where a lot of entrepreneurs get caught, and they neglect the customer experience. So my only focus from day one was maximizing the customer experience, making sure they had a fantastic experience with us. And of course, quality is important, but that's kind of like built into everything we do. If you're not putting out quality, nobody's going to come back. So that's baseline. Think about a restaurant even. You have to have that. So that's all I did. And it was very quickly took off because no one really had ever seen that in the industry before, at least not in the market that I was in. And that's when I started to ask some more questions and realized, no, this is really industry wide, nationwide. It's very rare for someone to have a good experience with a business like this. And that's how it started to take off so quickly. So it was one of those things I solved my own problem, and then I made it into a business and quickly realized by accident that there might be something here.
So the customer service was a big important factor of that success. So now you talked about some systems that have allowed you to launch 6 and 7 figure businesses while building amazing relationships along the way. What do these systems look like?
Yeah, so one of the things that I realized as I was kind of going from scaling that company to being the operator to being the owner and getting out of it was I was I was really chained to my business. I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week throughout the year, and it only got worse when we were busy. So I knew that wasn't the most sustainable way to build a company. And if I wanted to be present for my family and my kids, you couldn't do both. You can't be working that much and see your family and have relationships with anybody, let alone your business. So I had to figure out what was holding me back from scaling, from actually getting out of the business. And that's when I realized that some things were connected. And that's what we teach today. So my business partner really, he was the one that realized that this is present no matter the size of the company. He's consulted with Fortune 100 companies all the way down to solopreneurs and startups and everything in between. What I started to realize was if you have systems that guarantee success in your business for everything, I'm not just talking about delivery of the product, but how you do everything in your business, how you hire, how you fire, and then how you get leads, how you market, how you fulfill your service. It kind of ties everything together. And the other thing was, if you have mission-driven people on your team, it's really easy to scale. And that's an oversimplified way to put it, but those two big things really changed the direction of my business and my time working in the business, because I started to be able to hire the right people who were on board with the mission and where we were taking the company. They could see themselves in that vision of where we were going in 3, 5, 10 years. And we had everything documented so that if one person was out sick, anybody else in the organization could pick up the slack for the day, and it was seamless. It didn't require my input. It didn't require me to make decisions. And that's what holds a lot of businesses back, is when the owner or the CEO is in charge of signing off on all decisions, well, they're a bottleneck. So when we started to, or as I started to pull myself out of the business, I knew that these things had to be in place. And as questions would come up, I documented them, every single thing. If someone had a question now, it would mean someone else would have a question in 3 months. So we just made sure there was a library of information that was easily accessible so that anybody could answer questions without me confidently. And I was able to quickly scale and get out of that business while going from 6 to 7 figures, from 80 hours a week down to less than 5 hours a week by the time I sold it. And the company grew itself without me, which is, I think, the goal of every company.
So these systems, you implement them now, or you just advise?
Both. So we do in WhadIf in our company now. My business partner that I mentioned, he's identified these 10 fundamental areas of business that are present no matter the size, scale, or industry. So what we'll do is we call it a business architecture or a business operating system. What we do is we'll come in and either show you how to install that yourself. We'll show you how to do that, make sure it goes well, and you can start to install this architecture in your business. If you need a little bit more hands-on support, your business is a little bit bigger. For example, like Nike, Uber, Johnson & Johnson, the companies that he has worked inside of and consulted for, then we do fractional COO work. So that's where we'll actually be technically on staff to some degree at that company as a consultant, an outside consultant, but still working inside the company to make sure that everything is tied together as efficient as possible. Either way, we have the same results. I mean, we have a 100% success rate implementing this model in businesses because it's the most efficient way to do business. We always call ourselves the lazy consultants. We want to do the least amount of work and get the most amount of return on the back end. And it seems stupid to say that, but that's what we all want. That's as human beings, we want to be lazy and do a little bit of work and get a lot out of it. Well, we just cut out the noise and the excess, and we can leverage that for business growth.
So how long does a transformation take from the moment that you start to the moment until you see those results?
Very quickly. We see results within the first 3 to 4 weeks. We always start in the same place though, and that's because it's always the most broken when we get into businesses. At least that's what we found. So the area of business that we call navigation, which is what traditionally in business is called strategic planning, a lot of small businesses don't do that. And fun fact, a lot of big businesses don't do that well either. They don't have a very good grasp on it because they need to please shareholders and CEOs and boards of directors. Small businesses, we just think that's like writing our goals on the wall for the year. It's like, oh, cool, my goals, I want to hit $1 million in revenue. That's not strategic planning. That's a hope and a dream that you may or may not accomplish. The way we tackle strategic planning or navigation is planning your company's, giving your company a map, a roadmap of where it is now, where it wants to go, and exactly how you get there. So once we do that and we install that portion of the architecture in your company, we start to see entire teams align, get on the same page, and growth starts to happen very quickly. Within the first 90 days, companies tend to look drastically different than when we started with them.
Can you share with us how the framework to simplify your business helps make better decisions for the companies?
Yeah, that's one of the things that holds back a lot of entrepreneurs from scaling. We call it decision fatigue, whether it's, who do I hire? I'm between two candidates, or as simple as where do I go for lunch? The overwhelming number of decisions that we have to make as business owners and leaders every single day is crazy. And it's something that's not really talked about in terms of leadership and scaling a business. But as you grow, as you get past the 6, 7, 8-figure mark, there's big decisions to be made, and there's consequences that could be very massive for not only you and your company, but all of your employees. So one of the things that we have in place in this architecture is we leverage the connections between the 10 disciplines. So if you think about departments or silos in a big company, that's how these things are typically looked at. There are 10 different areas of the business that you focus on individually. Well, that's where the model breaks in big business, in the standard business model, because the magic is in the links. Everything in business is connected. So once you know exactly where things are connected, where your marketing is connected with your company's vision, where your HR is connected with leadership and sales and legal, once you have that information and it's very clearly laid out on one computer screen, you can start to make decisions really quickly. So we have everything as a filter. If you have a decision to be made as a leader, the easiest thing that we do, and this is once you have this in place, the 4 questions we ask or the process we take our clients through is we call it the 4 Ds. It's do, delay, delegate, and delete. We actually reverse that order. That's the order people would typically attack things in. So as a business leader, if I were to come to you with an opportunity, you would usually say, okay, can I do this? We flip that around. So anytime a decision needs to be made, we take it in with the business leader, with the CEO, and say, can you delete this? Is this in line with your company's vision? Does it even need to be here? If that's a yes, then the next thing we ask is, can we delay it? Like, does it have to be decided or solved right this minute? If that's a yes, well, if it's a no, then we can push it off to some later date. If it's a yes, then we say, okay, is it delegatable? Is there someone on your team? Is there a third party you could outsource this to, a VA, whatever that may be? Can someone else handle this situation? Or does it have to be you, the leader, founder, CEO? If and only then it's a yes, do you actually do it? So it would have to be in line with your company's vision. It would have to be immediate and urgent. It would have to be you with your unique skill set that could only do it in your company. And then you would do it. And that's what we call the golden line. So we have this filter in place to where anytime something comes in, you go through that process and it's quick. Once you do it a couple times, it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Yes, awesome. I'll do it. I'll put it on my calendar for this date. you eliminate 98% of the things that we end up doing throughout the day, throughout the week and month as a business owner. And you'd be surprised how quickly your schedule gets from overwhelmed to calm.
When you were going through those steps, it was almost like conditional statements, if then, if then. How do people make the decisions? Is it just a process that goes through your mind? Is it with pen and paper, or is it an app or a software where I'm able to put an input and then just get an output? Because if you haven't thought about doing a software that helps you through that process, you should, with the way that you think.
Yeah, we're not smart enough for software. So if anybody's listening that knows software, please reach out to me. But no, so we do have, it's a little bit tied into software. So we do build dashboards for our clients that we work with. We just use Notion. If you're familiar with it, it's a very flexible platform. So what we do have and where these decisions come in is we work in quarterly projects. So every quarter, it's based off the book, the 12-week year, if you're familiar with it. So we have these 12-week sprints, quarterly sprints. We only have 3 projects in any company at any one time. Doesn't matter the scale. So based on what those 3 projects are, let's say you were to come to me and say, we found this opportunity to incorporate Facebook ads in our marketing. Well, if marketing is not on one of these 3 projects, it's immediately a delete. So we're referencing the projects for that first filter. If it's part of the projects and we can't delete it, then it's just a filter in our head, and it's habit, really. So like I said, once you do it a few times, you get the hang of it, and you get to see, okay, it's part of the projects. Where does it go? Delay, delete, do. Most of the time, everything's going to be delay or delegate if it makes past the delete step. So really, when we work with our clients, they're surprised and also a little bit, they're mostly shocked is really what happens, because they're so used to just saying yes. We're yes people as entrepreneurs. And when we have them saying no, 95+% of the time, it can be a little scary at first. But like I said, their calendar shows the results, and then they can be more effective and productive because they're doing the right activities, not all activities.
So what's your next milestone?
Our next milestone. So we actually have a community that we're building, and we're pretty excited about it. So there's 3 things that we've kind of noticed that most entrepreneurs want or they look for, and it's clarity, confidence, and community. So we can do the first 2 really easy. The clarity to make decisions, we just talked about that. The confidence then to make a decision and put it into place and chase your company's vision. The part that was lacking was the community. And that's because as high-level leaders and CEOs, it's hard to relate. I mean, we have employees, and yeah, they're fantastic, and we can talk to them and be friends and all that kind of stuff, but no one really understands the decision-making level and the decision fatigue that I was describing before. So having someone on that level with you is very, very important to keep you motivated and keep you moving forward. So we're building a community of 7-8-figure entrepreneurs who are pushing their companies through getting to that next level. And the milestone is 100 for us. We want 100 people in that group. Right now, I think we're close to, we're just shy of 20 in that group right now. And we're hoping to achieve that milestone by Q3 or end of the year this year.
Can you share how we can follow your journey, find you online, or perhaps even join that group?
Yeah, so I would say if anything I said had you say, that's interesting, or that's a different way of looking at that. The best way to see where your company stacks up is to actually take our assessment. It's called the BAD, the Business Architecture Diagnostic. And what it does, it'll ask you 50 questions in the 10 different areas of business that I described, and it'll show you where the holes in your company are. And they're usually never where you think they are. That's the magic of everything being connected, like I said. So if you take that assessment, go to whatif.com, answer those 50 questions. It'll take you 8 to 10 minutes. And you'll get a report on the backside of that of exactly what's going on in your company. So that's the clarity. And then in that report, we'll kind of paint the picture for you of exactly what you need to do to fix it and get yourself back on the right track, if you will. And that's the confidence piece. So like I said, I can deliver those first 2 really, really easy. If you want help with it, obviously we can come in and work with you, but that's absolutely free, that assessment. So you get confidence and clarity for free in 8 minutes. I can't think of a better deal as a business owner.
So, what advice would you give my listeners to take that first step and turn their what if into reality?
Ask a lot of questions and make sure you keep going. So yeah, what if is we always joke it's the question that births all great ideas, right? But you have to be willing to just learn from your failures. There's no such thing as failure. It's just learning experience. So if you have that what if in your head, you're like, what if I turn this into a business or what if I could help people in this way? Chase it. Seek a mentor, get guidance, have a good plan, and learn from your mistakes, but never ever stop if you think it's an idea worth chasing.
Thank you so much for your time today and for joining me in another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership.
Thanks for having me.